The long-awaited moment is finally here. Terraria's new update, 1.4.5, Bigger and Bolder. With this update adds a whole bunch of things, but for this video, we'll be diving specifically into minions. There has been not one, not two, but 3 new minions added into the game. So, I'll be taking on the challenge of beating Terraria using minions only in today's video. I hope you guys are just as excited as I am. Now, let's get things started. Alright, to start things off, I chopped down some trees for wood, and when I had about 300 pieces, I decided to explore the right side of the world first to look for the Finch Staff as my first summoner weapon. There is a possibility that the world I was in might not have the Finch Staff, so if that were the case, then I'd have to resort to the next option, which would be Abigail's Flower. I eventually made it to a living wood tree, but the chest that would have the weapon was not inside. There was another chance that the other side of the world had another living wood tree, but before I went there, I dropped all the way down the tree I was in to find a massive amount of platinum, and nearby were some amethyst, 14 to be exact. But luckily there was an amethyst tree that I chopped down to get one more gem, which was enough for the amethyst hook. After reaching the end of the cave, I teleported back up and went to the left side, finding another living wood tree. Although finding an abundance of chests around, there still wasn't the Finch Staff. I wanted to finish off exploring the left side, but a zombie fell on top of me and ended up killing me. Bro, really? Respawning back, I built a small shelter to store my items away, crafted the amethyst hook, platinum pickaxe, and axe, then allowed the zombies around me to kill me. Doing this was much needed for Abigail's Flower to spawn. It can only spawn near tombstones, so I died a lot of times to increase the chance of it appearing. Once I was satisfied with the amount of tombstones, I didn't want to just wait doing nothing, so I went to the right side again to finish off exploring all of it. I found an egglet, climbing claws, and an armored inner tube. Back at home, Abigail's Flower had yet to spawn, so I took the time to build some NPC houses, and afterwards, to speed up the process, I built a bed to pass time faster. About 10 minutes later, there still wasn't the flower to be seen, so I decided to die a few more times for more tombstones. Another 10 minutes had passed. It still hadn't shown up, and I was getting sick and tired of waiting. Therefore, I went underground to mine some ores and just beef up my character in general. I found my first life crystal, flurry boots plus the ice mirror, mining pants that increased mining speed by 10%, a bunch of sapphire to upgrade to the sapphire hook, and later I ended up dying, but after respawning, Abigail's Flower finally spawned. With it, I was now able to start killing enemies. Before I returned back underground, I made the sapphire hook and destroyed all the tombstones because I didn't need them anymore. I then found enough life crystals to reach 200 health, shoe spikes, and kill some flinks for their fur. Once I had about 18, a skeleton merchant appeared. I spoke with him and saw that he was selling roller skates. This was a mount that increased my acceleration, speed, which was faster than the flurry boots, and even jump height. With the flink's fur, I made the flink's fur coat that increased my summon damage by 5% and max number of minions by 1. And the flink's staff, which had 8 damage plus 5 summon tag damage from the ballistic modifier, which didn't affect me since I couldn't use a whip. Now it was time to get my hands on the new minions. Well, at least one of them. Either Kativa or Foxparks. But they can only be found in the outer fourths of the world. So as I was heading towards the left side, I killed a demon eye which dropped a black lens that can be turned into a summoner weapon in hard mode, and a frozen zombie that dropped a snow hood, providing 3 defense. I finally made it to the ocean, but I did some research and apparently Kativa and Foxparks can only spawn on grass, jungle grass, snow, or ice blocks during daytime. So, seeing the tiny area of grass, I knew the odds of one of them spawning wasn't going to be high, so I went to the right side instead, and luckily there was jungle grass. While I waited, I killed goblin scouts for tattered cloth, enough for the goblin battle standard, and a while later, I heard a cat sound on the left. So I immediately went over to check what it was, and it was actually Kativa, surrounded by 2 goblin archers. I killed them both and rescued it. This minion had 9 damage and could even help me with mining. As for the attacks, it wasn't anything too crazy, and at that time, I believed that the flinxes were stronger since they were better at latching onto enemies. Now that I had Kativa, I figured I would get Foxparks at a later time. Back home, I drank a gravitation potion to look for Sky Islands, and right when I was about to fly up, I got the message saying, "You feel an evil presence watching you," which was such bad timing. I knew I had maybe a minute or two before the Eye of Cthulhu spawned, so I tried finding at least one Sky Island, and I did, but of course it wasn't the one with a chest. So I teleported back home and began building an arena as quickly as possible. But I was only able to put down a single layered platform before the boss arrived. So I had to fight it without a proper arena, and things weren't looking so good at first. An incomplete arena, only 200 health, and my minions were only dealing 1 to 3 damage on the boss. So I knew I was going to be in for a long ride. When it finally reached its second phase, it got better since now my minions could deal anywhere from 8 to 10 damage. So my worry of not making it in time was gone. There was also another thing I noticed when fighting the boss. Whenever I resummoned my minions, it didn't take away from my mana. So the update got rid of mana costs entirely. After the Eye of Cthulhu was defeated, I wanted to increase my health some more, so I mined down towards hell to search for life crystals, and let me tell ya, the Kativa helping me mine felt so good. Mining felt twice as fast. While I was down searching for life crystals, I stumbled upon a boulder that resembled a spider, and when I mined the blocks beneath it, cobwebs appeared behind it, which eventually turned into a whole spider. Personally, I hate spiders, so seeing this literally gave me chills. I grabbed a heart statue and found a new technique using Kativa. Holding down the attack button turned the summon into basically a ranged attack weapon. But the best thing about it is it being able to attack anywhere on the screen. And I was pretty sure doing this dealt more damage than just letting the minion attack normally. Eventually I made it into a mushroom biome and found 4 life crystals, bringing my health to 400. I returned back up on the surface, built a garden for potions like the Iron Skin and Regeneration Potion. At that point, I felt pretty strong, so I made my way into the Crimson, built an arena, and broke the hearts to summon the Brain of Cthulhu. I tried doing the technique I learned from before, and realized that it worked sometimes, and sometimes not. When Kativa is summoned out, it already had chosen its target, so unless it was that target, the minion wouldn't be able to deal damage to anything else. And just like the Eye of Cthulhu fight, my minions dealt very little damage, so I got overwhelmed by the amount of creepers flying around. I purchased the DPS meter back at home, and before taking on the brain again, I wanted to ensure that I was successful the next time I attempted it. So I summoned the Goblin Army so that I would be able to find the Goblin Tinkerer and purchase the workshop to combine my accessories together. Once the Goblin Army had been defeated, another army was about to invade. I did not want to do all of that again so soon, so instead I searched for the Tinkerer, and it didn't take too long to find him. I bought Rocket Boots, the workshop, and reforged Kativa to Fabled, the best modifier for summoner weapons. Then I created Spectre Boots, Tiger Climbing Gear, and finished off the second army. Back at the Crimson, I broke another set of 3 hearts, and began round 2. With the improved mobility, the fight went a lot better this time. Okay, now that it is in second phase, I can do the technique again, because there's only one monster. After defeating the brain, I only crafted the Deathbringer pickaxe, which resulted in me having plenty of leftover tissue samples, which I was going to use to make the obsidian armor. So I mined towards hell, collected enough obsidian, the hell forge, made some silk to then craft the full obsidian armor sets. This armor set increased my summon damage by a fair amount, bringing my Kativa to 14 damage. It was almost time for me to take on Skeletron, but I definitely needed better minions, specifically one with a ranged attack. And the perfect one was the Imp Staff. So I went back down to hell, mined some hellstone, crafted the molten pickaxe and the Imp Staff, which I reforged to worthy, increasing damage by 18% and armor penetration by 8. This minion was just better overall, so I replaced the Kativa and Flink Staff. I then set up an arena in the dungeon and waited until night to summon the boss. And I was so glad I used the Imp Staff for this boss, because if I were to use the others, I guaranteed I wouldn't have been able to kill the boss in time. After taking down its hands, all that was left was the head, which honestly was the easiest part of the boss. We're almost done here. Just a few more hits. And done. Once Skeletron had been defeated, I made my way down the dungeon, and the first chest I opened had the Cobalt Shield, Shadow Key, and the Ram Rune. So I got pretty lucky there. I almost left the dungeon without one of the most important items for summoners, which was the Bewitching Table. This increased the max number of minions summoned out by 1. I grabbed the Alchemy Table and mined a bit more obsidian for the Obsidian Skull to be used with the Cobalt Shield, turning it into the Obsidian Shield. Because I had another Gravitation Potion and knew that there weren't going to be any more inconveniences popping up, I drank it and obtained the Shiny Red Balloon and Lucky Horseshoe. Next up, I wanted to be able to summon some more minions. To do that, I would need bee armor from the Queen Bee. So I built an arena in the jungle and summoned the boss. Although my imps would sometimes miss their attacks, the fight was long, but not nearly as long as the Eye of Cthulhu or the Brain during my first attempt at it. After killing the Queen Bee, I didn't have quite enough bee wax, so I had to go look for another one to fight. And while searching, I found the Cursed Piper Flute. This mount turned me into a very tiny rat, which I used against the next Queen Bee I fought. And it actually helped me dodge attacks, since I was so small. Back at home, I used the bee wax to make the entire bee armor set that now allowed me to summon out 4 minions. I thought about it, and I should have stayed in the jungle before heading back up, because now I had to go back there since I wanted the Anklet of the Wind for lightning boots and Cloud in a Bottle for the blue horseshoe balloon. I could have saved a lot of time, but hey, it didn't matter anymore. I found the Anklet of the Wind and Cloud in a Bottle soon after, and crafted the accessories. Finally, it became time to take on the Wall of Flesh. I killed a voodoo demon for its doll, and threw it into lava to summon the boss. Everything was great. My minions were dealing decent damage to the boss, I was maintaining a good amount of health, but that all changed when I accidentally dashed into one of its hungries, causing me to take a ton of damage. I was able to recover, and right when I thought I was about to beat the boss, I died, leaving it with only 18 health. Literally just one more hit, and it would have died. Come on, come on, come on. No! Are you serious? There weren't any more room left to allow another guide to spawn, so I made some more NPC houses and waited until another arrived. Round 2, and this time I broke most of the building's walls on the left before I fought the boss to make sure I didn't get stuck in front of them, and also made sure I could dash without getting rebounded from the hungries. Okay, 500 more health. Yeah, staying a greater distance away from the boss was definitely the play. And wall down. After defeating the Wall of Flesh and entering hard mode, I opened the treasure bag and received the Menacing Summoner emblem, increasing damage by 19%, which was huge. And because I was now in hard mode, I needed better armor and minions. A really fast and what I think is an easy way to get these upgrades is killing Black Recluse for their Spider Fangs. I collected enough, but now I required either the Mithril or Orichalcum Anvil. So back to the Crimson I went to break some Crimson Altars for the hard mode ores. After mining Palladium and Orichalcum, I made the Orichalcum Anvil to be able to craft Spider Armor, each piece giving +1 to minions, and the Spider Staff. With it equipped, I could have 5 minions out at a time. I reforged the Spider Staff to Loyal, giving it +12% damage, 5% knockback, 5 armor penetration, and 3 summon tag damage. Then I made the Orichalcum Pickaxe to mine up some titanium for the Titanium Forge. I already had the Mechanical Skull and Worm, so I gathered some Souls of Light for the Mechanical Eye. Before I took on the Mechanical Boss summons, I killed Wyverns for Souls of Light, and Harpies that luckily dropped a giant Harpy Feather. So I made Harpy Wings and then took on the Queen Slime actually. A boss I skipped mostly, but not this time because this boss dropped the Blade Staff. I just know that bosses like Skeletron Prime and Twins are way too fast for my spiders to stick on, so the Blade Staff minions would be a much better choice. I had to defeat the boss 3 times before getting it, and by then, it was already a quarter way through the night, which I thought was still enough time to take down at least one mech boss, so I summoned the Twins. I was dealing a consistent 200 damage per second, but it just wasn't enough, given how much time I had left. The next day arrived, and I was so close to finishing off Retinazer, who only had about 1,000 health left. So for sure, if I took on the boss at the very beginning of the next night, I'd be able to win. Which was what I did expect, except a goddamn meteor shower started happening, and each one that hit me dealt over 100 damage, so that messed me up real bad. Are you serious? When I was farming for another 3 lens, a wandering eye dropped a mechanical eye, and I was going to make sure that this time I played it safe, so I took a look at the sky and saw that it was a quarter way through the night. And I was like, oh hell nah, I ain't taking that chance. So I slept all the way until the next night, and this time I was able to take it down. With hollowed bars and Souls of Sight, I used them to make the Optic Staff. Next up was the Destroyer, and as soon as it spawned, I made my minions target the clumped up area. And honestly, I thought I'd do a lot more damage, but it didn't matter too much since I was confident my minions would be able to take it down before the next day, especially because my minions were able to pierce. Almost done here, less than 5,000 health. After taking down the Destroyer, I slept until the next night to summon Skeletron Prime, and I made sure to target just the head as the hands would take too long to kill. Now that all 3 mechanical bosses were defeated, I had more hollowed bars to craft the hollowed armor set. But after crafting it, I didn't have enough for the pickaxe axe, which would later affect the arena that I would build for my fight against Plantera. Talking about Plantera, that was the boss I was going to fight next. So I went back to the jungle, made the arena, and broke the bulb. The first phase was very easy. All I did was just fly around in circles to dodge the attacks. But when it became second phase, it became a lot harder, as a single hit took down about 80 health. And it was even harder because I couldn't break the core fight that was inside the arena, so I ended up failing. I returned back, expanded the area a bit, and found the Shimmer Pool, which I would use at a later time. I found another Plantera bulb, broke it, and led it back to the arena. And I've got to say, the fight went a lot better this time, and it was because of the Spider Staff. Yes, I switched out the Optic Staff for it, since the spiders could deal much more consistent damage directly to the boss, while the minions from the Optic Staff, the Retinator more specifically, would get its attacks caught on Plantera's vines. But even so, I took way too much damage and failed once again. For the third time, I found the bulb, broke it, and fought it in the arena, but this time I equipped my roller skates for better acceleration and speed, which helped me dodge the boss's attacks. I opened the treasure bag and was expected to receive the pygmy staff, but did not. So I was stuck with the ones I had for a while longer. Now that Plantera had been defeated, I purchased the Tiki armor from the Witch Doctor, allowing me to summon one more minion, totaling 6, and then returned back to the Shimmer Pool to toss in my hollowed armor to get back my hollowed bars. Afterwards, I made my way into the temple, not to take on Golem, but to grab a solar tablet for the solar eclipse. Since I couldn't get the pygmy staff, I resorted to getting the deadly spear staff. Unfortunately, I did not get it this time, but I did get the amulet of the night, allowing me to turn into a bat. And in the form, I could dash, but it wasn't very far. On the second solar eclipse, I was able to get the deadly spear staff. And when I saw the damage on it, I was pretty sure they buffed it, because I didn't really remember it having so much. I talked to the Goblin Tinkerer to reforge it and got fabled, bringing it to 95 damage. And with it, I took on Golem. The first phase of taking down its hands and head were simple enough, but when it jumped, it was able to reach me. So I built another platform above the one I already had down, although it was a bit too high to the ceiling, because once the head flew up, it made it very hard to dodge its lasers. So I came back, lowered it, and took on the boss again. With some more room to work with, I was able to defeat it. When I was back at home, I made the Star Veil and collected the Tabby plus Black Belt to make the Master Ninja Gear that replaced my Shield of Cthulhu. Now the time came to take on the Lunatic Cultist, and when I arrived, I accidentally triggered the Martian invasion. It didn't affect my fight against the boss, but it was just another inconvenience that I had to deal with. As I was fighting the boss, I saw that my minions weren't attacking the real one when it split into clones. So I had to manually smack it with my pickaxe, and the dungeon was too small to fight it in, so I chose to take it on outside. After defeating the Lunatic Cultist, I took care of the Martian invasion and proceeded to destroy the Celestial Pillars, starting with the Stardust. Once I had the fragments, I crafted the Stardust Dragon Staff and used that to take on the Vortex and Solar Pillars. But before I destroyed the last pillar, I wanted to check out a minion that I should have checked out a while back, which was the Mushroom Staff. This required 300 glowing mushrooms, 5 glowing mushroom seeds, and 5 tissue samples. So I went on to collect those materials and then made it. When I first summoned them, it kinda sounded like Mario, or was it just me? Anyways, they can attack normally, but also teleport to enemies with an explosion effect. This summon I consider to be better than Kativa. The last thing I did was look for Foxsparks. This took such a long time and I got baited by a couple of Kativas, so I figured I'd destroy the last pillar and take on Moonlord first. For this fight, I just had to focus on dodging the attacks. That's the beauty of minions, and to help with sustaining my health, I placed down a pool of honey and the heart statue back home, so I had full health for most of the fight. And teleport, run into the honey, grab the hearts, Yeah, we should be good. I think if I do take a lot of damage, I can just heal it up. Alright, that is one hand down. Gonna teleport soon. Now. The other hand's done. Oh, and the forehead's done. Okay, just the core now. About 10,000 more health. The final stretch, come on. We are so close. And done. The final boss Moonlord has been defeated. After Moonlord had been defeated, I returned back to the jungle and finally found Foxparks. This had 24 damage and could be held to perform a manual attack. It could also attack normally with fireballs. Seeing this, I regretted not getting it earlier, as I thought it would be the same as Kativa. If I had gotten this earlier, I would use it against the Brain of Cthulhu, and I definitely would have been able to beat the boss the first time. And that is going to be it, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed watching. I've explored every single new minion there is in the 1.4.5 update. A bit late to get the Mushroom Staff and Foxparks, but hey, at least we got them in the end. Out of all the new minions, I have to say, I really like the Mushroom Staff the most, since you can have multiple out, unlike the other two. And the fact that they can teleport to enemies makes it even better. Anyways, if you've enjoyed watching, don't forget to leave a like, comment down below what you guys thought of the new minions, and of course, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace!